We're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game.
Come on! Oh! Move on, Joe!
Oh, it's good to be back. I miss talking to you lovely people. I hope you missed me. But if you didn't, it's okay. I love the haters, too. The show's all about the haters, too. Like Kevin Durant fuels me. Kevin Durant, by the way, getting a little cushy with Stephen Curry. You guys see that? Brought back memories here. And we're trying to make new memories in Golden State. And wait till you hear what Warriors owner Joe Lacob had to say on his sit down on the TK show with Tim Kawakami, an Odyssey podcast here. And it's fascinating. It just dropped. We got the audio. We're going to react. He talks about Stephen Curry, his recent comments about his future in Golden State. We got him talking about Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, trades, all that sort of stuff, all the acquisitions. I can't wait. Joe Lacob, he's one of those owners where you just have to listen to what he has to say. That's not the case with everyone. I mean, 75%, hell, maybe even more, of professional sports owners, specifically in America, they just snooze. Just don't care what you have to say. But then you get some quirky ones, and then the ones that have the big bucks, obviously. You got the Jerry Jones, the power he has, the Robert Krafts, right, over in New England. You got those guys, Jed York even. You know, Mark Davis, who's not up there when it comes to the dollars. It's just a weird guy. He's got the Lloyd Christmas haircut. That's his thing. I do like when we photoshopped his hair out, though, and that was the thing for everybody. He shaved his head, and someone just photoshopped it, and everyone ran with it. Now he still got that red hair. And there was an even crazier rumor, too, about his old girlfriend, I guess, from a few years back, who I guess is pregnant, but it's not his. Never a dull moment with the Raiders. We'll get to the Raiders, by the way, because my brother, Ray, is on a group chat with me right now with all of my other brothers. For those of you who don't know, big family, Italian last name, Spadoni, if you didn't know. I got 6 brothers, and we're all doing a group trip, just a boys' trip, to North Carolina, where one of them, those brothers, lives, Anthony. So we're doing a group trip, and I was up early, and we were just talking about, flight schedules, all that sort of stuff, if anyone could pick each other up. And then I was like, hey, 25 minutes, guys, pregame show, lock in. And then I get a response, any Raiders content on the agenda today? I was like, not about any of the players, really. About a certain Muppets character I saw on the practice field. Yeah, one Kermit the Frog. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, a fan at training camp down, I think it's Costa Mesa right now. They're not in Las Vegas. They're in Costa Mesa, a lot cooler than what it would be in Henderson, Nevada, which is like 30 more degrees, like 115 there. But it's a dry heat. But they're down in Costa Mesa right now, along with a plethora of other NFL teams. 5 or 6 of them, I think, are down in SoCal. And the Raiders are one of them. And a fan brought a Kermit the Frog puppet dressed very similarly, hair and all, and the jersey, to one Patrick Mahomes. And it leaked on the internet, and everyone's having a good time with it, and everyone's going nuts. Oh, what are the Raiders doing? This is bulletin board material. Well, spoiler alert. They don't need any more bulletin board material. The Chiefs kick the Raiders' ass every single year. It is funny, though, that the last official loss the Chiefs have had was on Christmas Day against the Raiders. And one of the guys that was talking that talk, and I think it was having fun with the puppet yesterday, too, that got leaked on social, and you can find it all over the place on X, YouTube, Twitch, which we are streaming on right now, by the way. So search 95.7 The Game, like and subscribe there while you're doing that. But Jack Jones was that guy that was talking a lot smack. He had that pick 6. He was doing the wave. He was doing the bye-bye. He was telling the Chiefs, the Kansas City kid in the stands, no, you're not getting this ball. Threw it back to a Raider fan. I live for this stuff. Come on. Isn't that what's fun about training camp? Rivals, talking smack to each other. And then I guess Patrick Mahomes' trainer is now coming out and being like, oh, this is just the motivation he needs. What more motivation does Patrick Mahomes needs? Like what? 3 Super Bowls? He's trying to three-peat for the first time ever in Super Bowl history? Like, come on. And if the Raiders are the one team that they're going to isolate next year and like run up the score on, by all means. They shouldn't even need to do that. Not that I don't think the Raiders will be awful next year. I actually think their defense will be pretty good. Still need to just wait and see on Aiden O'Connell, sophomore season. Gardner Minshew, we'll see. He had a solid season with the Colts, came up short in that final game against the Houston Texans, which is basically a play-in game to get into the playoffs. But we'll see. But I just thought that was funny coming across my timeline yesterday. I was like, yeah, this is the reason the Raiders are playing with fire. That puppet, Kermit the Frog. Hey, Kermit. Come on. And I guess that's the whole joke, is that Patrick Mahomes kind of sounds like Kermit the Frog. The more I hear him talk, the more it's more Kenny Powers and it's Danny McBride. I can't unsee that at all. I also can't unsee what I'm watching with the San Francisco Giants. An 888-957-9570. The team is 49-55. Lost 3 of 4 in LA. And does it get any lower than former shortstop Nick Ahmed, who just came over to the Dodgers, just got released from the Giants, just came over to the Dodgers, and his home run was the difference in a win. I saw FP Santangelo, former Giant, and obviously one of the 95.7 The Game hosts here, our teammate now, and he was saying this feels like the lowest point of the season. I'd still argue the lowest point of the season, it felt like to me, was that Yankees series, where it just felt like you weren't on that same level as that team. It's just not even close. You had built up some, equity after that Phillies series prior, and it's like, oh, okay, we took 2 or 3 against the NL contending Philadelphia Phillies. Best record in the National League at the time. And then the Yankees came in and just absolutely eviscerated the San Francisco Giants. But I'm looking right now at what Nick Ahmed did, and then Shohei Ohtani right after, and then went back-to-back in the bottom of the 8th inning, and it was night-night, all she wrote. I mean, if they don't sell, and I'm having a hard time thinking they're not going to sell Blake Snell, who his market is going to be red hot, according to Andrew Baggerly of The Athletic, who covers the team. Snell is getting a lot of attention, and he should. He's looked great in his last 4 starts. He's going to be 1A or 1B on a team he goes to. He's a 2-time Cy Young winner, 1 in the AL, 1 in the NL. He's a second half pitcher notoriously. Why wouldn't you trade for that guy? And if I'm the Giants, yeah, you're probably going to get a haul back because teams will be desperate right now. I don't think the seller's market is as great as some people are making it out to be. And by the way, another little interesting wrinkle pertaining to Bay Area news, and a guy that also was linked to a lot of potential trades, was Mason Miller, who fractured his pinky yesterday. Mason Miller, stud closer for the Oakland Athletics. I can't even call them the Oakland Athletics in a couple more months. Isn't that going to be weird? So we have the San Diego Chargers. They'll still call them that. Oakland Raiders at time. You slip up. But Mason Miller, in his non-throwing hand, I guess, in a little frustration after being told the other night that he has to get a lift in before heading out, he's like, damn. He smacked his hand, just on a padded wall cushion, and it broke his pinky. So now he's going to be out for a couple weeks. Again, it's non-throwing hand, but that affects trade value when the trade deadline is just days away. Maybe a team's like, I'm not going to get his services for 2 weeks. Cost goes down now. So maybe that makes the A's keep him. But if I'm the Giants, Blake Snell's probably opting out anyways. If you're just looking at this trend, what's the point in keeping him? What's the point in keeping a Michael Conforto? Unless you think this team has a run in them, which Conforto just said recently, he thinks they can get hot still. Does anyone think that with the San Francisco Giants? Now, I'm not talking about one of those fake hot streaks at the end of the year where it's just like it looks better at the very end. It's like, oh, we were a 500 team. No. Talking about a legit hot streak, 10 wins in a row, and you're back in the thick of things. Do the Giants have that in them? I have my doubts. 888-957-9570. Good morning to all you lovely people. Just getting off work, getting ready for the weekend, getting ready to get back to school soon in a couple weeks. Shout out young Ben Spadoni, graduated preschool yesterday. Love to see it. Didn't know that was a thing, graduating preschool. But here we are. Shout out Benny. Good for him. You know where we're going to celebrate today? At like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which just seems odd. Go to Chuck E. Cheese's. Yeah. Chuck E. Cheese, Sammy. I know you're locked in for that. They don't have any tickets there anymore, though. Everything's on a card. It just feels like, and I get it, save the trees, whatever. Miss me with that crap. There's nothing better than when you had the actual tickets as a kid and you fed them into the machine and you just saw that counter go up. And then you only got like a couple hundred and you can buy like some Pop Rocks or something. That's about it. You could never buy that Xbox that was in there, the PlayStation, hell, the MP3, the iPod back. You could never afford those. All those tickets. I mean, you'd have to gone to Chuck E. Cheese every single day for weeks to be able to get those. And by that point, when you spent all that money anyways, you probably could have just bought the iPod. But now they don't have those. They have the little electronic cards where you tap and stuff like that. I do like, though, at Chuck E. Cheese, and we're talking Chuck E. Cheese here on the pregame show. Why not? It's a Phil Collins Friday. Non-payday Friday, but who cares? We're having a good time. I do like, though, that I could just pay for an hour unlimited in the games. I don't have to worry about reloading that. That is nice. And that is also dangerous when it comes to the misses and her ticket games. It's low-key her addiction. She doesn't want to talk about it, the lovely Jade. She gets addicted to those coin games. You guys know what I'm talking about. The ones where you just, the cards come out or all the different stuff come out. You just keep putting those, keep feeding the coins. And it's like the one that pushes one of them. I can't explain it very well. It's the coin games. That's all I'm going to say. If you don't know, now you know. All right. Stalled long enough. Joe Lacob, TK Show, Warriors owner, talking about a lot of things. But let's start here. Recently, Stephen Curry, who is playing for Team USA right now, and they get underway against Serbia. When is that? Is that Sunday? LeBron, I was going to search LeBron James versus Serbia in a second because that's just what it feels like. USA versus Serbia Olympics. We got it July 20th. Yeah, I was right. Sunday at 8:15 a.m. Okay, I'm locked into that. It's in Pacific time too, so 11:15 if you're on the East Coast. And good morning to all my East Coasters out there. But Steph Curry, in a sit down with Mark Spears of Anscape, recently said this, quote, "I'm taking it one step at a time, to be honest. I think that's the only way that will protect my happiness. Also, it allows me to enjoy being myself when I'm out there playing. And I'll continue to make the decisions that are best for me and for my career. At the end of the day, when it comes to just the imagination, I want to win." Let's put it this way. It's a long-winded way of saying that if it is a situation where you're a bottom feeder and it's just because you want to stay there, I'd have a hard time with that. But I don't think that's going to be the reality. And that was in response to a question that Mark Spears asked him. You know, Kobe and Dirk had the end of their careers staying with one team, but they weren't competitive. Is that something you would do? Instead of saying basically, hey, I'm not here to be a bottom feeder like those other teams. Now, those are different circumstances. Kobe was coming off an Achilles injury. He was never the same player after that. He was 35 years old, 34 years old when he had that Achilles. He was done. He was still shoot and stuff like that and have occasional moments of greatness, but he wasn't the same player. And the team around him, God, was Timothy Mozgov was out there. Ugh. Robert Sacre. Ugh. Ryan Kelly. Miss me. And then for Dirk, it was just, it was the end of that run. It is what it is. This is what it looks like, people. That Kobe team, that's kind of what it looks like. Now, I think the Warriors will be better than that. I think Stephen Curry's level of play right now is better. But who's to say if they have a down year this year, if something happens, like stuff always happens. What if there's an injury? I'm not saying that it has to be serious, but what if it's an injury that keeps Steph out for a couple weeks, and the team just isn't very good, and they finish just out of the play-in game again. I would consider that a bottom feeder. If you're not making at least the play-in tournament, you are a bottom feeder. So Tim Kawakami, who sat down with Warriors owner Joe Lacob, asked him, Lacob that is, about Steph's recent comments about the future. Let's take a listen.
Certainly from many conversations I've had with Steph, and I'm pretty close to Steph. We talk a lot. We have a great relationship. I think he's very comfortable with the path of the franchise and how hard we do try to put a great, as good a product on the court as we can.
I'm sure he is sympathetic with that to Joe Lacob. I'm sure he is in lockstep with them. But it's about results now. And I don't think anyone at this current point in the Warriors' development of this offseason is saying that this team is a championship contender. They're a play-in contender right now. And that's not good enough. Now, is Lauri Markkanen going to change that? Well, what's the landscape of that trade look like? If I get to keep one of Podziemski or Kuminga, then sure. But it sure sounds like, according to reports, that Utah wants Podziemski, which I think is fine. But if they're also, asking for Podziemski, then right on top of that, it's like, oh, you sign off on Podziemski? Well, we want Kuminga, and we want Moody, and we want a couple of first-round picks. Well, then in that case, that's your whole depth and basically your entire future post-Stephen Curry. But do we care about that right now? Or is it this little window that might be slightly ajar that if you get a Lauri Markkanen, you could kick it open, and these next 2 years, you could compete for a title? I think that's a little ridiculous. I don't think Lauri Markkanen is that kind of player, but I don't knock fans for thinking that way. You want to go in and maximize Stephen Curry's, final window, if there is one even open. And speaking of trades and stuff like that, this was the one that was interesting to me. Draymond Green sat down on Jeff Teague's podcast, and it was at 520, something like that. Trying to figure out what Club 520. Thank you. Jeff Teague, former NBA player, has this podcast because, if you're a former NBA player, you have to have, or current, you have to have a podcast. It just is what it is. Hashtag new media, as Draymond wanted to say. Here's Draymond on the Club 520 pod talking about Warriors about to make a trade last week, and he told them, no.
We was just about to make some trades last week, and I told them straight up, like, yo, that trade helped me. Like, it'll help me right now in my career these last couple of years and stuff. But I've always spoke to y'all from a place of what's best for this organization. I won't stop now. Yeah. That's a bad trade. Like, don't do that trade. Like, I disagree with it, although it's going to help me right now.
This guy, Draymond Green. First of all, I don't need you on a podcast talking about the Warriors' trades and their motivations to make trades. I will leave that to Mike Dunleavy, to Joe Lacob, to Kirk Lacob, to them. I don't need you commenting on, we almost made a trade. No. That makes the organization look bad. And also, if I'm a fan, it makes me a little nervous that you have the ear of Mike Dunleavy and Joe Lacob, so much so that you can say, yeah, I don't know about right now, but maybe in the future this will be good. Draymond, that's great. I love you. If I'm Mike Dunleavy, I say, please be quiet. I don't need you talking about the future of this team where you're not even going to be a part of the future of this team in about 2 years, probably. Well, you can opt in, so it's 3 years. That contract, by the way, right now, that's a ticking time bomb. I mean, quite honestly, like, his level of play right now is good, but you can't count on him. I mean, if you're counting on Draymond Green in the future, good luck. So for him to say that they could get better right now, but it might not be the best for the future of the team, I say, who are you to talk about that if you're not going to be on the future of this team anyways? Stephen Curry is out here talking about, being bottom feeders. So if it's about being good right now, I think you do it right now because you are at the risk of losing the greatest player in the history of Bay Area sports. One Stephen Curry. No, it is not Jerry Rice. No, it is not Joe Montana. No, it is not any San Francisco. It's not Willie Mays. Love Willie. R.I.P. You know, it's not Dennis Eckersley. It's not anyone from the Oakland A's. It's Stephen freaking Curry. It's not even close. And he's on record for the first time, really, that I could think of in his career, going out and saying and speaking through the media and putting the Warriors on notice and the franchise on notice. That's usually not in Steph's playbook. But you know what's going on right now? Which I just mentioned 5 minutes ago, the Olympics. And who's he hanging out with? LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, Joel Embiid. Guys that are trying to win championships. Now, you can say what you want about the Lakers. If they're trying to win a championship, they have 2 of the top 10 players, top 15, whatever you want to put LeBron. He's playing like a top 10 player still to me in the NBA. I would rather have that than just one of them. So I think Steph is looking at that saying, hey, can I at least be a lock playing team like the Lakers? Can we at least just be that? And we'll see. Maybe the Warriors will be better than the Lakers. There's going to be some jumbled up stuff happening in the Western Conference this year. Kind of like last year. Teams are going to take a step back. Teams are going to take a step forward, just like any sports calendar from year to year. I think the Clippers are going to take a major step back. I think the Rockets potentially could take another step forward and be a play-in team. Where are the Memphis Grizzlies at? Hey, Ja's back, baby. I like that Zach Edey acquisition, by the way. I think he's going to actually be a very solid rotation player in Memphis. Can't teach size, man. You just can't. Speaking of the narrative on not wasting the end of Steph's career, here's what Joe Lacob, again, in a sit-down with the TK show, Tim Kawakami, who joined Willard and Dibbs yesterday. Find that entire interview on YouTube. Search 95.7 The Game, like, subscribe. It's all powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Here's what Lacob had to say on the narrative of not wasting the end of Steph's career.
It matters to me every bit as much as it matters to our fans for Steph or for Steph. I don't ever want to be not trying or be bad or be laissez-faire about trying to win. I think people, I hope, understand from the time we as a group have bought this team, 14 years going on 15 now, it's hard to believe.
Yep.
We've tried to be competitive, as much as we can.
Trying to be competitive as much as they can, which, again, goes back to how this team is currently constructed. And if you want to do as Joe Shasky likes to say, the pie chart of culpability, Steph's a part of it. Absolutely. I mean, when you're the best player on a franchise, and specifically this one and a couple of them, might add, like the Lakers and LeBron, Joel Embiid and the Sixers. I'd put, I'm not going to put Jimmy Butler in the Heat because that's really Pat Riley, and Pat Riley's the end-all, be-all there. It's not always like that, especially the ego like Jimmy Butler, but Pat Riley checks him. He's the Godfather. He's been doing it a long time. He checked LeBron. LeBron left. He had Eric Spoelstra's back. But those two teams specifically, and then you want to add in, I don't know how much sway Anthony Edwards has right now over in Minnesota, but you can say Jason Tatum with Boston, right? You could say Nikola Jokic with the Nuggets, although I can't really see Jokic being too involved in player personnel. My guy likes horses more than actual basketball players, it seems like. By the way, again, Serbia, USA, Sunday morning, Olympics, Group C. Get after it. And they have the 3-on-3 now, which is very interesting. Maybe I'll tap into that. I think Jimmer Fredette. Yeah, that Jimmer Fredette from BYU like 14 years ago. I think he's on Team USA's 3-on-3 tournament. There you go. Teach Me How to Jimmer. Remember that song? Yikes. Steph has, where was I? A little bit of culpability here. Draymond Green has a lot. He does. Klay Thompson has something to do with that too. Joe Lacob, Bob Myers, Steve Kerr. Everyone is to blame for the current state. Now, some have more blame than others because some people are in a better position to make moves than others or have more sway than others. However you dice it up, the reality is for the Golden State Warriors right now, they're not one player away from contending for an NBA championship. Now, can they contend to win a playoff series? I think that's all Stephen Curry right now is asking. But I'm asking Warriors fans, and maybe this is a different question because this is where you start seeing the different narratives take shape, whether it's on social, whether it's from fan bases. This is the deciding factor between Warriors fans and Stephen Curry's fans, and it feels like we're going to be at an inflection point here pretty soon. You're going to start seeing a lot, and I've already seen it. The Steph fan base, I see all the different Photoshops during the Olympics. Oh, could you imagine him on this team? Can you imagine him on that team? Oh, the Lakers. Oh, go to the Sixers. Oh, go to East. Go to... You're already starting to see it. And Warriors fans are like, yeah, I mean, if the goal is to go all in and sacrifice the future to win a play-in series, yeah, maybe we should move off of Stephen Curry. And you're starting to see that get a little uptick as of late. I see it on the text line, the Xfinity Mobile text line, 888-957-9570, 650. Let's just trade Stephen Curry and let's move on to the next generation. Right there. Like, people are talking about it. 888-957-9570 is the number. I want to hear more from you, and I want to talk about it with you as well. More Laker reaction, more sound from that on the other side. More of your calls, more of your texts. Stephen Curry. Has he given the Warriors an ultimatum here? Or is it nothing to see here when it comes to his future in Golden State? Or has he just put them on notice? I think that's what I think they are, or what Stephen Curry and his camp are doing. But what say you, Warriors fans? 888-957-9570. It's the pregame show, Joe Spadoni. 2 more segments before handing it off to Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky. They will have a lot of thoughts on the Dodgers taking 3-4 against the Giants. Are they sellers at the deadline? More on 49ers training camp. We got some more on that. Plus, Joe Lacob. Joe Lacob talks. We listen, and we play it for you on 95.7 The Game.
Looking for lifelong financial guidance? Look no further than Pettinelli Financial Partners, your dedicated financial...
I've had Steph pretty close to Steph. We talk a lot. Great relationship.
Oops. There's Joe Laco. That was a premature button selection. X-Men. It's a Friday. It's a Phil Collins Friday. You hear the guy's voice. Beautiful man. Again, no one rocked a receding hairline quite like Phil Collins. 888-957-9570. That's the number to get involved. Xfinity Mobile text line. We're talking Warriors' future right now. We're talking Stephen Curry's future in Golden State. Why are we talking about that? Well, Stephen Curry is talking about it. So when Steph talks about it, we're going to talk about it. And this is what Steph had to say in regards to his future and playing only on the Warriors for his career. Quote, if it's a situation where you're a bottom feeder and it's just because you want to stay there, I'd have a hard time with that. Full stop. That's all he needed to say. That's the first time I've heard him even put out into the universe some doubt about him being a Golden State Warrior for life. And that frightens me if I'm a Golden State Warriors fan. Because there is something special about sticking with one team your entire career. It doesn't happen a lot in sports. Think of the greatest athletes, at least since I've been alive, and we're going back to 1993. I'm going prior to that, but Willie Mays even. He wasn't a career giant. He was a Met. Michael Jordan wasn't a career Bull. He was a wizard. You're a wizard, Michael. Tom Brady. Yeah, Tom Brady should have been a 49er. And maybe I'll get into that on the next segment because it's just Shanahan. Oh, imagine sticking with Jimmy G. Knowing what we know now, and they stuck with Jimmy G when they could have had Tom Brady. Yikes. They would have already had 2 Super Bowls by now. That's a fact. It's not even an opinion. It's just a fact. And then the guy I don't know. LeBron James. One of the greatest players ever. How many teams been on? Not 5, not 6, not 7. No. 3. Cleveland, Miami, Lakers. And he'll be loved by 2 of those franchises. 3, maybe. The Lakers, I don't know if he'll be as beloved as all the other Lakers, but hey, you brought a title. That's what you do in La La Land. He'll be a made man forever. And he'll be based out of LA probably the rest of his life because that's what he is. He's a media mogul now. But I say all that to say this as I go Daryl the Guru Johnson. Would I think and would I be shocked if Stephen Curry was in pick a team, a Orlando Magic jersey? Yes. Because my brain just won't allow me to comprehend it. Like, even with Tom Brady, we all knew it was on his last legs between him and Bill Belichick. We all knew that. The act was growing thin, and that's okay. They were together for what, 20 plus years or close to that? That's a great run in any business, let alone professional sports, to have that sort of relationship. That's why I look at what coaches do, like a Mike Tomlin who's been there for damn near 20 years out in Pittsburgh, what Don Shula did, right? What some of these guys, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, like guys that stick around forever and ever and win no matter what. Like, there is something to be said about that. But at the same time, you need change at the end. And it always ends either badly or, amicably. And at the end, I still think Stephen Curry remains a Golden State Warrior. I do. Because the last line, I think, holds a lot of weight in that comment he made when he says, I don't think that's going to be the reality, in reference to them being a bottom feeder in the league. I think he wants to say, win a title, but I think he's also realistic enough knowing Maybe we're not just a trade away and this thing is going to take maybe 2 to 3 years. And by then, maybe I'm not the same player I was. I'm not the same player I was a couple of years ago. He took a slight step. Yes, Warriors fans, Stephen Curry took a slight step back last year. You know how I know that? There's multiple games where he didn't even make a 3-point shot. The greatest shooter in the history of the NBA failed to record a 3-point shot multiple times last year. That says it all right there. He feels the weight of the entire organization and fan base on his shoulders, and it is mentally and physically exhausting. You know what also was mentally and physically exhausting to talk about on the station for so long? The Klay Thompson negotiations. Joe Lacob, can you take us through them?
You know, we made an offer to him in the fall, substantially higher than what he ultimately did wind up signing for. So I thought it was very fair, if not more than fair at the time. We're trying to anticipate what the market is for him. We're trying to be really fair to him and recognize him for who he is. And so we did that. And, that was not acceptable to them. That's their choice. At that point, we're sort of have to go to free agency, we told them, get closer to that day and see how the team forming, see how we do this year and see how the team forming process was going. And we were doing that. But, to be frank and honest, Klay made the decision prior to the beginning free agency that he informed us of it, that his intention was to not come back.
Okay, a lot of stuff here. It's been reported from multiple media outlets that Klay Thompson and his camp had a rebuttal contract and would have taken less to stay in Golden State. And they got no response from the Warriors. No, nothing. There was a last-ditch effort to stay a Golden State Warrior. So I hear Lacob putting all the onus on Klay, saying, hey, this was his decision, this was that. But it was also the Warriors' decision, too. There was also, Klay realizing that potentially the only reason I was going to stick around was if if Stephen Curry won it at bat for me. And, Klay didn't want that. He didn't want someone else to go take his at bat, if you will, and go try to knock one out of the park on his behalf. He wants the coach, he wants the owner, he wants everyone to want him to come back. But they didn't. Here's more from Joe Lacob. Again, tremendous interview on the TK show. We're going to be reacting to it on the Morning Roast as well. Bonte and Chasky, they're going to have all their thoughts on it as well. But here's Lacob talking about, why he thinks Klay left.
He felt he needed, for a variety of reasons, to have a fresh start. He put a lot of pressure on himself to be the player he always, was in the past. And perhaps he didn't feel like he was living up to that, or he felt the pressure of the situation. I don't know. I just don't know. You'd have to ask him. But he made the decision he wanted to move on, which surprised us a little bit, to be frank. But I'm a believer that these guys earn their stripes. They earn the ability to be free agents if they want. They put in the time. It's their life. What makes them happy. I would love if Klay had been a Warrior for life. And under a fair and equitable basis, we wanted to try to achieve that very badly. We did achieve it with Draymond, a different situation. Steph's under contract, so we felt we were on path to do that. It just didn't work out, and there's no sense rehashing who offered what, when, and all that. We all know the basics of the situation, and I think he's happy for now with his choice, and we had to move on and accept that.
We'll react to that on the other side. 888-957-9570. Your thoughts on it, Warriors fans. One more segment as we roll on here on a Phil Collins Friday on 95.7 The Game.
Grab the keys to a new fuel-efficient Toyota. Let's go! Hit the open California road this summer.
that take you can't hurry love. No, you just have to wait. Just trust in the good time.
We did a little remix at the start of that. Was that Sideshow mixed with Phil Collins? You know what? I'm not mad at that. Doesn't Phil Collins have a song with Bone Thugs? Hey, sleep on Phil. Phil Collins Friday here on the pregame show. One more segment before handing it off to Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky. They will have a plethora of thoughts regarding Joe Lacob, his comments at the TK show. We'll react to some of that here in just a second. Plus 49ers training camp. Nick Sorensen, new defensive coordinator, spoke to the media yesterday. Hear what he had to say. Plus, got Olympics happening this weekend. We got so much. The Giants, so they're selling, right? They got to be sellers. Papa Spadoni weighing in. He said the lowest point of this season was not the Nick Ahmed home run yesterday. It was losing the series to the Rockies right out of the All-Star break. You know what? I'm not mad at that take either. Although, in defense of the Rockies, they've been playing pretty damn well as of late. Their offense, anyways. I mean, they kind of kicked the Red Sox ass. Did they not? It's Coors Field. Say what you want in high school. But, hey, give them credit there. A's, by the way, on deck after the Rockies. And my boy Sam Lubman, host of Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys Odyssey podcast. Check it out. Him and Joe Shasky do a hell of a job covering the orange and black. He's nervous about that A's series. Why? Because the A's are actually playing pretty well. Lawrence Butler, probably going to be the AL player of the month. That's how hot he is right now. Yeah, Lawrence Butler. Law Butt, as we call him. Brent Rooker, should have been an all-star. Is he going to be a guy that could be traded? We know about Mason Miller. Broke his pinky on his non-throwing hand in frustration the other night, so he's going to be out a couple weeks. He'll be reevaluated in a couple weeks, I should say. How's that going to affect him? Our team's still going to try to trade for him? Because those were the two pieces right there. I mean, hell, you could have a trade package involving those two guys and probably command a top 5, maybe a number 1 or number 2 prospect. That's how good those guys are playing. Plus, they have years of control attached to them, so they would fetch a hefty price. Now, how much would a Blake Snell fetch? That's going to be the question that the Giants have to come up with. I think he's gone by next week. I think. But I never know what the Giants... What's at stake for the San Francisco Giants organization right now? What's at stake for Farhan Zaidi specifically? I don't know. Like, I feel like the moves at the deadline will dictate whether Farhan Zaidi is going to be fired or not. If he makes moves to signal that they are selling, and they are selling a lot of players, I think that signals that he's fine within the organization. But if they don't do anything, and maybe, you know, a Conforto or a little piece here or there, a Yastrzemski elsewhere, something like that, if they don't do anything, I think that's saying his job is on the line. And he needs to keep these guys to keep his job. They need to produce. Otherwise, night-night. So I'm very fascinated in this upcoming series against the Rockies and then the A's after that to see what happens. And obviously the MLB trade deadline. I'm going to get the exact time because usually it's at like 12 o'clock or like 3 o'clock Eastern, I want to say. So 6 o'clock Eastern, July 30th, 3 o'clock local. Okay. Always got that confused. I felt like a couple of years ago we had the Chris Bryant news like right at the 12 o'clock. Maybe. My days are all messed up. I don't know. It's a Friday. That's all I care about. Go to Chuck E. Cheese later. Get off my back. Get off Joe Lacob's back. He's talking to Tim Kawakami. All right. Let me replay this one more time. We played it heading into the break, but I want to replay it for our new audience here who's just getting up, getting off work, getting ready for the weekend. Good morning to all you lovely people. Joe Spadoni in here for the next 9 minutes before handing off to Bonte and Joe Shasky. Dave Fleming, 8:30, joining the Morning Rose, voice of the San Francisco Giants, our 95.7 The Game Giants insider, to talk about this lackluster road trip and heading back home for a massive series against the Colorado Rockies, or is it massive anymore? We'll see. Joe Lacob first on why he thinks Klay Thompson left.
He felt he needed, for a variety of reasons, to have a fresh start. He put a lot of pressure on himself to be the player he always, was in the past, and perhaps he didn't feel like he was living up to that, or he felt the pressure of the situation. I don't know. I just don't know. You'd have to ask him. But he made the decision he wanted to move on, which surprised us a little bit, to be frank. But I'm a believer that these guys earn their stripes. They earn the ability to be free agents if they want. They put in the time. It's their life. What makes them happy. I would love if Clay had been a Warrior for life. And under a fair and equitable basis, we wanted to try to achieve that very badly. We did achieve it with Draymond, a different situation. Steph's under contract, so we felt we were on path to do that. It just didn't work out, and there's no sense rehashing who offered what, when, and all that. We all know the basics of the situation, and I think he's happy for now with his choice, and we had to move on and accept that.
I just think the way the Warriors went about it, if that was the case all along, because it was, I mean, if we're just reading between the lines, the Warriors just wanted out of the Klay Thompson business, which is okay. We just hate to be lied to as fans. Just don't lie to me. Just tell me that you think we can upgrade elsewhere, and it would be a positive if he is no longer on our team anymore. Just tell me that. I get it. He's a legend. You have to be delicate. It's the headline wars. Who wants to win the headlines in all of this? The Warriors do. Joe Lacob does. That's why he's going out. That's why he's talking to me. That's why he's talking to David Aldridge. That's why he's talking to Tim Kawakami. He wants to go out and win the battle of perception in regards to the falling out between Klay Thompson and the Golden State Warriors. Oh, it was on Klay. Oh, I think he just needed to change the suiting. Oh, I just don't think he was happy. Oh, you're part of that. Golden State Warriors are a part of that. And don't give me they paid him all this. Stop. I'm not talking about the money aspect. I'm talking about why this locker room is just now getting better and getting younger, and Klay Thompson being a part of why it was not doing that. Draymond Green, another one, why it was not getting better. And there is some part of me when I keep hearing all of this, that's like, man, and how could you not? Like, Klay Thompson is going to be a Dallas Maverick next year, and after everything that happened last year, Draymond Green is still a Warrior, and he's still trying to give advice to the organization and Mike Dunleavy about trades for the future when he's not even going to be a part of the team's future. I just... Steph, though, hey, he's still here for now. Joe, is there another big trade or big move coming?
Are there trades that are being discussed all the time? Absolutely. We could make a significant trade for sure, but we might not. There are three ways to get your team better, right? The draft, which probably is the most reliable one in some respects, although highly risky and takes some time. Free agency. The Lakers have used this over the years, certainly. We've done it occasionally. That's happened now. And the third is trades. Trades is kind of the hardest way to go because there are 29 other teams all trying to do the same thing. They're all trying to get better. And everyone wants to win a trade. I know in business, you hear the term win-win. It's good to make win-win moves in life, in business, trades, business transactions. But you can't make someone do that. So it's one of these things where you have to find the right partner at the right time, and you have to sort of agree that this is going to work for both parties.
All right. So they may make a trade. They may not. It's just typical, maybe we'll do something. It's just organization speak. Are you willing to give up several picks and young players to make a big deal happen, though, Joe?
Well, it's a balance. I think we have to balance. We would do it. We would send all kinds of picks in a particular trade or players if we felt we were getting back something that was really great and that made sense and that got someone that was the right age and the right cultural fit and and also fit within the construct of the team. It's possible, but I will consider, and we will consider anything and have considered all of these options.
The more And I get it. August 6th is the deadline, the Lauri Markkanen day, the Steph Curry extension day. There's going to be a lot happening. Excuse me, Lauri Markkanen, not Lauri. Shout out Hugh Laurie, house. Lauri Markkanen day. Doesn't sign an extension that day. He'll sign an extension later on, then he can't be traded for the entire season. And he'll basically stay Utah Jazz, and that's basically the out of that sweepstakes for this season. Can they get back into it next year? We'll see. But definitely can't do it at next trade deadline either. If he does sign an extension that day and, is there up until the trade deadline, then the Warriors could potentially trade for him, depending on where that team is at. So there's still a lot to happen there. But I just get the feeling they're not going to do that trade. I get the feeling they love Pajemski. I don't know if they love Kuminga that much, but they like him enough to where they don't want to part with him and a lot of picks for a guy like Lauri Markkanen. At the end of the day, I don't think they will trade for Lauri Markkanen. Nor do I think that's the answer immediately either. I don't know how much that makes, how much better that makes them. Sure. Are they a play-in team? I think they're a play-in team now. So does it bump you from a, 9-10 to an 8-7 / fringe 6? Okay. And you got a young guy, he's 27 years old, and you can build around him maybe after Steph, depending on how well he's playing. But I'd rather bet on Kuminga's upside and Pajemski and his upside and Moody. In a perfect world, I would love for all those guys to be Warriors for a lot longer. Now, are they going to get the reps they need to be able to stay and to be satisfied enough? That's another thing in all this. The satisfaction of these, I can't get no Jonathan Kuminga. That's kind of how I feel about this. Like, how satisfied is Kuminga going to be with his role next season? How satisfied is Pajemski, who's talking his talk a lot? He's confident. He's brash. Is he going to be satisfied with his role with the team next year? Moses Moody, I know he's not satisfied with his role next season. What's that going to look like? So a lot of questions still to be answered here when it comes to the Golden State Warriors. We'll have more of this reaction from Joe Lacob with Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky. Morning Roast up next. Have a good weekend, everybody.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the